Hello everyone, this is Lawrence. I purchased 4 albums from FYE. Our local FYE is going out of business, so these were marked down 50%. And the selections I have here are all really classic albums I've been wanting on 180 gram vinyl for some time. Unfortunately, the FYE is going out of business, so they're liquidating, and I hate to see a business close like that, especially for the employees, but I was going to take advantage of the liquidation sale. So I went ahead with the $50 Christmas money I received, went down there and made my selections. I originally wanted to get 1 or 2 fairly new recent releases, but the supply had been pretty much picked over and I didn't see anything there I was interested in, so I went with the classic stuff. So I'll go ahead and show them to you. I have to put my reading glasses on too. Well, the first release, and this one is fairly recent, 2016. If I pronounce the name correctly, Mudcrutch is the first group Tom Petty put together, and they lasted from 1970 to 74. And he went on to form the Heartbreakers. Now, 2 members of Mudcrutch went with Petty to be key players in the Heartbreakers. Ben Trench and Mike Campbell. Ben, the keyboards, and of course Mike on guitar. In the 2008, Tom Petty decided to reunite this group, which also included Tom Leadon, whose brother was a member of the Eagles. Forgot his first name, just a memory block. But he was with the Eagles up to left about time of Hotel California. Bernie Leadon. So anyway, Tom decided to put his whole group back together, which is kind of strange, but really cool also. And they released this album, which I have on CD here, and it was a combination of rock and roll, country, blues, right there. And 2016 they released this album. Okay. And I never brought the Mudcrutch 2 on CD because I was transferring to just buying albums for new music, and buying 180 gram vinyl is very pricey, so this wasn't on my budget, limited budget for that. But I finally saw it at a liquidation sale, and I said, hey, this is my opportunity. I get it for 50% off. This was $24, no, $27, so 50% off. And of course it has the vinyl, I took the plastic off, and this sticker here. Also inside, and the sticker says special edition art print, and this is it. This is very cool, of a cowboy and a horse and some kind of really cool artwork coming out of it. So this would be cool to frame and hang up in a room. Again, the music on this album, rock, country. There's even a bluegrass song. And so very good. Tom wrote 7 of the 11 songs, and the other members contributed a song. So glad I got this. Everything Tom Petty does, every album he has put out has been great. I never come across a bad Tom Petty album. I own everything he's put out. He's very consistent. Probably one of the most consistent artists there ever was. Okay, the next album is from a famous Boston band, The Cars. Here's the album, Panorama, their third album. And when this one came out, 1980, I think it was. I'm trying to find the sticker, but I don't see it. It was not well received by the public or the critics. It really got a bad name because it had a more darker tone to it, darker feel than the more popular first two albums. And so this is the reissue of the album here, and we got some really cool pictures of the band, group photos, 2 sheets. This is if you bought the album, which I own, this is the original sheet, a picture of the band and lyrics on the back and credits. And the reissue contains another sheet, more pictures of the band, and pictures and some historical perspective. And I'll read this very quickly. As a band, the Cars were always far ahead of their time. They managed to shake it up, not in 1981, Shake It Up, but rather on the studio album earlier, 1980, Panorama. This was a gutsy song cycle that saw the group bravely expand its wide-range angle view of the musical universe. From that evocative, racy, finish line flag image on the cover to the compelling and sometimes challenging musical content within, Panorama took Cars fans on a dark ride into the 80s that featured a few fascinating left turns and incorporated experimental excursions along the way. Ultimately, some saw Panorama as the group's most riskiest triumph, while others felt it was a critical and commercial speed bump. Still, the Cars' career momentum was such that Panorama did hit number 5 on Billboard's 200 album chart. And there it is. So this album was not well received. The music had a darker tone. They were incorporated the use of drum machines, and it sounded a little mechanical. But I have to say, this ranks up there with one of my favorite Cars albums. I was a little taken back when it first came out, and I kind of put it on the side. But there had been a rediscovery with me when I played my original copy, and then had the opportunity to pick up this reissue. The reissue, it's on 2 discs. One disc is the entire album, okay, and the other disc contains 3 songs, unreleased songs that were not on the album, and a B-side to some of the singles. And it had the great single "Touch and Go," which is one of my favorite Cars songs. So that's a nice bonus on 2 disc. And I found the sticker here, and I'll show you that. So it reads, critically acclaimed album, remastered, supervised by Rick Ocasek. So he personally supervised it. 3-sided, 108 gram vinyl with custom laser etching. So the 4th side, you can't see it, but I'll pull it out and you get some idea. It has that racing flag that's on the cover with the title and the cars all around the side there. So that's pretty cool. I guess not enough to fill the 4th side, so they came up with that. So very happy to have this album, rediscover it, and again, some people thought it sounded mechanical. I thought it was a great album, great songs, and keyboard work and with guitars and everything. So I absolutely love this album. Okay, 4 minutes left. Trying to keep this 20 minutes, so I got my egg timer here. The next album, I'm putting on my glasses. I got the page pulled up. This is a classic album by one of the all-time great groups of all times, and here it is. U2, Achtung Baby, and it was recorded in it was the seeds for the album, or the conception, started in Berlin in the same studio where Bowie recorded his German albums. And at the time when, in changes in Europe, when the Berlin Wall was starting to come down, the Soviet bloc was starting to crumble. So the album reflects some of that mood. And it was a change for U2. They incorporated elements of hip hop, electronic dance into their music, and so that was interesting. It had a kind of a darker tone, but this accounts for one of their best albums, and they kind of reinvented themselves. And I saw them when they toured behind this album, Magnificent, and the album was so strong that they incorporated about 7 songs into the set. So we got the vinyl, we got some nice inner sleeves here with pictures from the original release. They're nice and sharp and clean. Lyrical sheets and sheets of credits, who was involved with the album. And it's on, although it's a single album, they put all the tracks on 2 discs, which amounts for better sound quality. Okay, and because you could spread out the grooves further, and it's on 180 gram, and I was listening to this last night. Absolutely stunning. The depth, the sound, the quality, the music. It's absolutely stunning. So, YouTube, U2, Achtung Baby on vinyl, 2 disc, great album. And the last one, and I saved this because he's kind of like the highest guy in the pecking order, although all these artists are great. Paul McCartney's classic, I think it came out in 83, 82 or 83, okay, Tug of War. And this was, a lot of eyes were on McCartney for this release, because this was the first, his first major musical statement after the death of John Lennon. And so people were really looking to see what he was going to do. And Paul really stepped up to the plate. I mean, after his Triumph albums, Band on the Run and Mars and Venus, the albums between those two albums, from Wings of Sound all the way up to McCartney 2, while there were great moments on those albums, and lots of hit singles, one got the feeling that Paul was capable of more. Okay, and this is the album we've been waiting for. And Paul actually started this album with George Martin prior to John's death, and the day after that tragic event, Paul had the studio book, my egg timer. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up soon. He did not cancel the session, but just a gathering to reminisce and console, with everyone on the event that just took place. And the only recording they got done that day was a track called Rain Clouds, where they put in, dubbed in bagpipes. So it's interesting to listen to that and listen to the bagpipes, knowing that it was recorded, dubbed in, the day after Lennon was tragically killed. Paul did address John's tragic passing and remembrance in a song called Here Today, which is a very passionate, somber remembrance of his old friend and collaborator, person he started the Beatles with, and very, very compelling. Anyway, the whole album is great. It was recorded in a studio in the Caribbean that George Martin set up. I can't think of the name of it right now. If you're interested, you can Google it. The studio was a famous studio where Sting recorded his big albums. Recorded his vocals for the track Money for Nothing. Okay, Dire Straits recorded the Brother in Arms albums there. But anyway, this album reissue, which is part of the Paul McCartney's Archives reissue series, and the only one I own. I do have the mono reissue of Ram and the reissue of Ram on CD, but not on album. But anyway, this is the first of the Archives, and it contains the complete album, all remastered on Audio Pine disc, and then a second disc, demos of most of the songs, and two B-sides, Rain Clouds, which I mentioned earlier, and I'll Give You a Ring, which I think was a B-side to Take It Away. Okay, as you know, Ebony and Ivory was the big hit. Stevie Wonder's on 2 tracks, and open it up, nice gatefold of Paul McCartney there. Looks he's at a table, a couch. Looks like he's writing lyrics, and I think this was the island where it was recorded. More pictures of Paul again, and studio pictures. I'll run through that. Stevie Wonder, and that last one's Carl Perkins, which he set in on one of the sessions. So, looking forward to listening to that. I listened to all these albums last night. They sound magnificent. I'm going to listen to them more in detail. Okay, that's it. I'm cutting it off. Thank you for watching. Your comments are welcome. Want to wish everyone a safe and happy new year. Bye.